everybody, Kathy Tooley. Excited you're joining us today. So today I want to talk about that four-letter word. You know which four-letter word I'm talking about. It's the one that we hear all the time. Ready? Let's see if we're saying the same word. Type it in the chat. Let's see if we're thinking the same word. Don't say anything bad. Don't say anything bad. That's it, data. We're going to talk about data. Yeah, the four-letter word that drives our instruction now, doesn't it? And I want to spend just a few minutes talking about data, how we can gather data, and a mechanism that I think will be helpful to you. So let's refer to my handy-dandy screen. I'm going to apologize right off the bat. An artist I am not. Do you know those roundabouts that we see, right? We all have the roundabouts, right? And we as cars have a direction that we are to go in said roundabout, right? Everybody knows the direction you take in the roundabout. Everybody knows the direction you're supposed to go. Our little cars, whether you enter the roundabout here, or you enter it here, or you enter it here, you are very clear when you enter the roundabout what direction you're supposed to be going, right? I want you to think of data kind of the same way. If we don't know where we are, if you don't know your entry point, you can't possibly know which direction to go. If we don't know where students are, if we don't start utilizing data as more than just numbers, it has to be a directional compass to us. So I want you to start thinking of data differently. I don't want you to think of data like a bad four-letter word. I want you to think of data, and I might need to turn that around. Is that facing the right direction? Let me turn that around for you. So I want you to start thinking of data as a friend and something that we can use. Data is that directional point for us. So I always think of data like this. If we don't know where we are, how do we know where to start? If you don't know where you are, how do you know where to jump in that roundabout? And then if you don't know where you're going, so I don't know which exit point I need to exit, how will you know when you arrive? And if we don't know what our students know by utilizing data, how do we know what to teach them? And if we don't know what they already know, how do we know if we're not reteaching what's already been taught? So I want you to think about something. Most teachers spend an exorbitant amount of time teaching what's already been taught. We go over things over and over and over because that's my job. My job is to teach them everything that fourth grade has to offer, having zero knowledge before we start of what they still remembered from third grade. So I want to give you 4 ways that we can utilize data to measure what our students are doing. 4 ways in which we can gather data. The first one is observations. Let's talk about that. I think this is an underutilized mechanism. So I'm going to give you a little tip that I used to use. I used to walk around in my classroom with a checkboard. So I had every student's name down the right of my little checklist, and then I had the 2 standards we were addressing at the top of the checklist. And you know how you're already doing that? You're walking up and down the aisles. You're watching what they're doing. I would just put a plus or a minus by that standard. If students were already demonstrating to me that they understood what they knew, and later when I look at that, I understand that the majority of my students understood it, I know that it's a standard that I can move on from, especially if I knew it was a prior taught standard. And again, remember, I was an English teacher for many years. Most of you highly effective English teachers, most of what I'm teaching in high school English is a prior learned knowledge. It's a standard you've already addressed. So use that time that you're walking up and down classrooms to learn through observation, to gather data through observation as to what they're doing. Another really great observation tool that a fellow colleague taught me is, as she was working with, when kids were working on paper, she got different colored dots. Don't use red. Red, kids think that's bad. But she actually got yellow and pink and orange. And when she walked by the student's paper, she put a sticker on it. When the kids asked what it's for, she said, we're going to do group week later. I'm going to put you in teams later. They didn't know that what she was doing was one color sticker meant they were completely confused and not doing it right. Another color sticker meant, and another color sticker meant, move on. And then at the end of the day, she gathered the work they'd been doing. She wasn't grading the work they'd been doing. She sorted the stickers. Kids don't realize that, nor do they care. At the end of the day, they care that you're teaching them. The second way I would invite you to utilize is exit tickets. We're going to do a whole separate YouTube video on really great exit tickets. So I'm just going to kind of skirt over it right now, but there are hundreds of ways to use exit tickets that you don't have to be grading extra papers. So some of you are not using exit tickets because you're thinking, good gravy, I'm barely keeping on top of grading just the stuff we did in class, and you want me to grade an exit ticket? I'm going to do a whole YouTube video on exit tickets you don't have to grade. So that's kind of an anticipatory set. You can come back to a later video. But exit tickets that you collect from kids as they go out the door is an amazing way to gather data. Third one, of course, is obviously graded work. And use that graded work you're going to use anyway when you're going through responses in class to put a sticker on it and gain even more from it. And then, of course, finally, assessments. Assessments are a critical way for us to gather data. Never just a little piece of sidebar for you. Whenever I give an assessment, make sure that two things are on your assessment: the depth of knowledge and the standard. That way you could break apart whether students are not understanding the standard or that they're understanding the standard, but not when I up the rigor level. Because it's a completely different thing whether I need to readdress the standard or I need to change the rigor. Also, you could do that daily checklist, like I mentioned, with the rigor and the standards to start to establish with data whether that is the essence is data or the essence is, the essence is the standard or the essence is the rigor level. I want to leave you with this thought when it comes to data. Data is not about numbers. Everybody think it's about, I am not a math person. If you spend 15 seconds with me, you will know I am not a math person. Math is not my strong suit, never has been. Data is not about numbers. It's really not about numbers. I want you to think of data as a data point tied to a kid. That's what data is about. Data is about students, and it's about really knowing where each child is, where they need to go, and what supports they're going to need to get there. Standards are your guide to help you get there, but data is really the piece that's going to move you there. Okay? Found this video helpful? You know my two asks. One, hit subscribe on this screen. And secondly, please share it with your educator friends who you think might get some benefit out of it. Thank you as always for what you're doing. Thank you for making a difference in the lives of our kids. Have a great day.